Hey, everybody, and welcome to another KOIN Conversations. My name is Emily Burris. I'm excited to be sitting down with you today and sitting down to chat with a local woman who is at the top of her game in a field where we don't often see many women out there doing amazing things. I'm talking about Robin May. She's a 27-year-old HVAC technician from our area, and she was recently competing on a national stage with some of the best in the field. So I'm really excited to have her with us today. Please welcome to the show, Robin May. Hey, Robin.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. I am so excited to have you here talking about this competition that you were just recently a part of, a national challenge for HVAC technicians. Tell me a little bit about what you were just up to this fall.
The competition, there were two rounds to it. The first round of the semifinal, it was a diagnostic on an AC. And luckily enough, the software that they had been using is something that I use every single day. I did that in 4 minutes and 39 seconds, which was pretty cool. It was the fastest time.
Oh my gosh, this is so
Yeah.
cool. So I guess
Yeah.
before we get into some of the technical aspects of this competition, the Service Titan Elite Trades Championship, which you were participating in for the second year in a row, let's give folks kind of an idea of what it is that you do as an HVAC technician. So what got you interested in this job, first of all?
I had welded in high school, and I always knew I kind of wanted to work with my hands, and I did some like random jobs here and there, but I got a little bored, and I decided that I should probably get into something that's going to be a career and not just a job. And so I applied for a job out here in Scappoose, and they hired me the next week.
That's
And I've
awesome.
been here ever since. That was 3 years ago.
That is really cool. So did you
Yeah.
know that going into the trades was something coming out of high school that you were thinking you wanted to do?
No, not really. So I had my metals teacher she really encouraged me to continue with the trades, and I didn't listen to her as teenagers do. And I was like, maybe I want to be a nurse, maybe I want to be a paramedic, I don't know. And I just ultimately decided that any of that wasn't for me. And I took a 4 month sabbatical traveling the country. And when I got back, I was like, I think I'm going to go into the trades. So,
Good for you. That's
yeah,
awesome. What
yeah.
does a typical day look like for you? Walk me through kind of like the typical day for an HVAC tech.
Waking up too early, waking up too early. And then I I do a lot of diagnostics, and like, so your furnace doesn't work, so that you wake up and you realize your house is cold, and you call an HVAC company, and then I show up and I look through all of the components on your furnace that might be malfunctioning, to kind of determine what needs to be replaced. And then if everybody's lucky, nothing needs to be replaced, something just needs to be cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
And those are
I'm,
the days I like.
yeah, where you get to deliver some good news.
Yeah, I like giving good news. I give a little bit too much bad news for what I'm comfortable with, but it happens.
That's fair. Yeah, having just gone through an HVAC install myself a couple of years ago at
Mhm.
my condo, I have the utmost appreciation for what you guys do. It is really technical work. It's difficult, and you also have to kind of be a translator, right? Explaining this job to the layperson that is like, what is this and why does that pipe cost so much and where are we going
Yes,
with all this stuff?
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I'm sure some people are probably a little surprised to see you at their door. This is and has largely been a male-dominated field. What's it like being a woman working in this industry?
I don't think it's that bad. I have a really amazing team that has always supported me, and I remember I was really nervous on my first day, and my boss took me aside and he's like, "How you feeling?" And I was like, and he's just said, you don't have any reason to be nervous. If anybody gives you trouble, just come talk to us, and we will resolve it right then and there. It's like they were very aware that it was kind of a strange situation for everyone. I remember when I interviewed for the job, the guy interviewing me, he was like, we don't get a lot of women applying for this job. He's like, how do you feel about tight spaces? And I was like, I'm good with them. And I think he asked me 3 questions, maybe. It's like, are you good with tight spaces? And how do you feel about rodents? So, yeah.
And you were
Yeah,
like, throw it all my way. I've
yeah,
seen
well,
worse.
we'll see if I can handle it. Yeah, but
So,
yeah, ultimately, it's not that bad. It's like I do get some comments when I go into people's houses, but they're mostly positive. But
yeah, but like, what's the typical reaction from someone?
my the typical reaction is, oh, yeah, and just that. But
Oh, was not
uh,
was
oh,
expecting a middle-aged man.
yes, exactly. Exactly. I like to tell them that I'll act like a grumpy old man if they'd like, but yeah. My favorite reaction is like the elderly ladies. They're like, "Oh my God, times are changing," and I'm like, "Yes, they are."
Right. They're
That's
probably
cool.
excited to see you. I know I'm personally always excited to see a woman, whether I'm at the auto body shop dropping off my car or whether I
Yeah.
call for some kind of home maintenance appointment. I I don't know why I just immediately assume that you're more trustworthy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me.
Maybe.
But it is cool to see that changing and to see more diversity in the field, different folks coming into these careers, and
Yeah.
clearly you're doing a pretty good job at it because we mentioned off the top of our chat here that you were just recently at this national competition. So this brought HVAC techs in from all over the country, or how did you even kind of like initially make the cut?
So yeah, from all over the country. I think a lot of them were from like the east side of the country, but last year it was a lot of western part of the country. And so it was 3 rounds. One of the first round is basically answering as many technical questions as you can within 5 minutes, and then they give you a score that I have no idea what it means, because I know that it's not how many questions you answered. I did the math, but yeah, those questions are actually pulled from a certification that we like to see HVAC technicians have, just because it's very knowledge based.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then
that's
the
like level one, you got to at least know the textbook in and out.
it's like, and like HVAC it's kind of an odd trade because we don't have to go through like a traditional apprenticeship. And so like with electricians and plumbers, it's like they take a test that like certifies them. And I think the idea behind that test was to give HVAC technicians kind of the same certification.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that was the first round. And then I think it was 38 people out of 8,000 went on to the second round.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool to see my name on the list for the second year. I saw it and I was like, it's not a fluke.
Right. First one wasn't just beginner's luck. You really do know
Exactly.
your stuff. That's really cool.
Exactly. I tried. I worked really hard to know my stuff. So,
Yeah.
um,
So did that happen before you had a chance to travel to Florida for the championships?
yes, that was back in, I want to say June. I
Okay.
think I started doing it because they opened it for like 2 months, and you can take the test as many times as you want, really, and for like 2 months.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
So then you get to Florida, where you are one of 10, and then one of 5, and the only woman at that level of the competition. What was that like?
Um, I mean, last year it was pretty shocking. It was honestly a lot of attention that I wasn't really prepared to receive.
Mm.
But it was. I would have liked to see more ladies there. I had a lot of um, I had a lot of supporters there. There was a lot of people were happy to see me there. I'll put it that way.
I bet.
Yeah, it was. I had hoped for another one, but maybe next year.
Yeah. Did you feel an extra sense of pressure to have to kind of represent for all women? No big deal?
I did, and honestly, like when I didn't win, I was really, it's like nobody likes losing.
Yeah.
Nobody likes losing, but it kind of added an extra layer to it because I was really hoping to win this for the ladies, but maybe next year.
For sure. Well, yeah, and at the same time, I'm looking at this thinking like, oh my gosh, you're top 5 and the only woman to make it this far. I think that's an incredible accomplishment. So, what did those final rounds of the competition look like for you? Is there more of a hands-on kind of portion?
Yeah, so I jumped the gun a little bit earlier about explaining it, but the first round was a diagnostic.
Mm.
It was it was a diagnostic on refrigerant charging. So like Freon, like how much Freon is in your AC and or your heat pump. And so that one wasn't really hands-on. It was more looking at the data that you have and then kind of forming a diagnosis of what the problem was. And then the second round was an installation, which was really fun.
Hmm.
It
And so, are they kind of uh, testing you on
was-
both your speed and accuracy? Because being the first one done, if you're still holding on to a couple of bolts and screws, is not gonna
yeah.
be good in the long run.
No, it's not. Yeah, the diagnostic portion, luckily there weren't any extra screws to be had. And that was the one that I finished first. The second round, I don't remember. I don't know where I placed as far as time because I was focused on what I was doing and not what everybody else was doing.
Sure.
But I think I want to say it took me an hour and 27. And we ran ductwork. We had to cut it, put it together, and screw it all into place it's called an ERV.
Interesting. To me, it's like an interesting intersection of both physical work, but also a lot of technical knowledge. There's so many different components, and I'm sure every year this stuff comes out with like new tech, new features, new stuff you have to kind of stay up on. What's the continuing ed like and kind of keeping up with your role?
Keeping up with the role is, when new stuff comes out, to be honest, it's mostly all the same.
Mm.
You're not going to reinvent the wheel by coming out with new technology for HVAC, but there are ins and outs of every type or brand of equipment. And to be honest, continuing education looks mostly like learning on the job, because you're never going to be able to memorize the handbook for 75 different types of furnaces or different types of ACs or whatnot. It's the same basic stuff with very slight changes, and it's those slight changes that you have to look out for. So
Yeah, and just
yeah.
the observation when you're in a situation to kind of figure out that problem solving.
100%. It's like if you see something that you're like, well, that's weird, then you bring it back to the team meeting and you say, this is what I ran into. If you ever run into it, give me a call. So
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
it's cool to get your perspective, because like I said, the only times that I've ever really gotten to interact with HVAC technicians is when I'm calling because there's a problem or I'm
Yeah.
calling to put something new in. So it's cool to see from your perspective. We're going to take just a quick little break here. When we come back, Robin, I want to chat with you about some things that homeowners should know, some tricks of the trade maybe. We're going to take just a quick break here on KOIN Conversations. We are back with Robin May right after this. Hey, welcome back to KOIN Conversations. I'm Emily Burris. I'm sitting down today with Robin May. She is a local HVAC technician, one of the best in the country, and that's not just me saying that. She recently made it into the top 5 at the Service Titan Elite Trades Championship in Florida, an annual competition pitting the best of the best HVAC techs against each other. So, Robin, we know you know your stuff, so I'm going to take advantage of having you here to ask you some advice for homeowners, things that we can all take and apply to our own HVAC systems at home. What is the most common issue or problem or mistake that you see people making with their equipment that leads to having to call you guys?
The low hanging fruit here is filter changes. It's just change your filter. Contrary to popular belief, it does filter your air out of your home, but the filter is actually there to protect the equipment. So if you're not changing it regularly, that's where you start to see problems with both your heating and your cooling, and that is what we like to avoid. Probably the most common call that we get, especially during the summer, is it's called a condensation line. Your AC creates water and it has to go somewhere, but that water is really dirty, and it will form a really gross gunk. And if you're not comfortable clearing that out, then get annual maintenance so that we can clear that out for you.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that if you're not taking care of that on a kind of maintenance recurring level, then you get the really big, really expensive repairs.
That one in particular is not terribly expensive, but it is expensive to have to replace your flooring because you have water damage all over it. So and mold.
Yeah, that would not be fun.
Especially in this area. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So when it comes to filters, I know this was something that I struggled with. I'm like, well, shouldn't I get the absolutely highest level of filtration? Wouldn't that be good for me? And at my last maintenance appointment, I learned a little bit from my tech. He said the static, there's something static load.
Static load, static pressure, yes.
Okay. Was actually like a little higher than what we wanted it to be because I had the Pet Max, Dust Max, everything filtered to the max. How do you know what's going to be right for your system and your home?
As far as the homeowner perspective goes,
is it kind of like it depends?
It does depend. It depends on, the way your ductwork is shaped, the way it's piped through your house. It depends on a ton of different stuff. And we have the equipment to go through and determine like where there's a problem, like this one's not big enough or this one's too small, or like we're able to figure that stuff out. But a good rule of thumb is going to be if you can hear, like if your furnace is in the garage and you can hear it in your living room, there's probably there's probably a slight problem there. It might be something might be there's a little too much resistance going across it. So
okay, that is good to know. I don't think I can hear mine. Right.
Well, that's good. That's good. And when I say hear it, it's like it is a machine. It is going to make noise. But if it's like squealing inside of your house, then we might have to look at something in there. So.
Or the noise that started today that wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah, something like that. That's when you should probably just change your filter and see what happens. But
yeah. Well, we're starting to see, warmer summers around here. I mentioned I put HVAC into my condo. It didn't originally have it, and I felt like summers were getting to a point where I needed a little extra help more than what the AC window unit could provide. Are you starting to see that more and more customers wanting, new systems or cooling where there wasn't some?
Yeah, so I haven't been alive for very long, but I did grow up here, and I remember like it was pretty few and far between that people had like central AC in their house. So just beyond me being an HVAC technician, you can see that. That especially those 115-degree days, like it's people don't want to survive in that. It's that we're not built for it, especially out here in the Pacific Northwest. And we do a lot of add-on installations for that reason. So
Well, and having a good system both for cooling and heating, I would imagine it's helpful for more than just your comfort. I'm sure it's also helpful to kind of the health of your home or your condo, your property. I think about in the winter, having the risk of pipes freezing if your heat can't keep up with the conditions we're seeing. How important is it to just make sure that everything is working in the system as it should be?
I would say very important. It's extremely expensive equipment to not have it be working properly. And as far as like the health of your home, if you're not, I said the thing about the filter earlier, if you're not getting all the dust out of your home, and you're prone to allergies, that's something that you want to take care of. And yeah, especially like vulnerable populations, like with allergies or with immune disorders, it's important to get that extra help for air quality. So
Right. That extra
yeah.
support at home for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier when you first interviewed for the job, you got asked about rodents. So I'm really curious. Have you run into many on the job?
Um, I I run into a lot of dead rodents.
Oh,
If we see like alive rodents, we try to. It really depends on the access. Like it's like if it's kind of an open or like a more spacious crawl space, and I see a mouse, I'm not really gonna worry about it. I'll tell you that you have mice down there, but I'm not gonna worry about it. But if there's like a rat like 3 feet away from me, I'm gonna have I might exit pretty quickly.
yeah.
But no, you see a lot of like dead animals in people's houses. So
Yeah. Stuff in the crawl space, places that we don't
yeah,
go all that
yeah.
often for good reason. Yeah.
I
That's
remember.
you're like, yeah, that's gonna be another call for a tech that is not
Yeah.
me.
You might need to call a pest control guy. I
Yeah.
remember I went down and there's like these little mouse traps that are boxes. And I was pretty new and I was like, what's in this box? And I opened it and it just had a bunch of like mouse skeletons in it. And I remember thinking, I was like, what kind of weirdo just keeps mouse skeletons in a box? And I didn't realize it was a mouse trap.
I'm not gonna lie. In this neck of the woods, my first thought would probably be something like, "Who is keeping these in a
Yeah.
box and why?" I would have
Well, I
gone
need,
down
I
the
need some
same road.
answers. You
Oh
can't
my
you can't
gosh,
ask somebody that though. You can't ask
no.
a
Oh,
question.
but yeah, mousetrap. That
Yeah.
makes more sense. That is
It,
that is a more
it
comforting
it didn't
answer.
occur to me until like 2 months later that that's what it was.
It was doing its job,
It
sadly.
was.
Oh man. Well, hey, as we wrap up here, I'm curious, what advice would you give to someone who might be looking at the trades, a young woman out there who might be thinking about following in your footsteps, whether it's HVAC or plumbing or electrical or construction? It's cool to see more women moving into these fields, but at the same time, there's a ways to go to close that gap.
Yes, very much so. I want to say it was like 3% of technicians. Actually, I think it might have been lower than that. I don't know where I saw the stat. I think it was for Canada, to be honest. But yeah, there's a gap to close. But what I would say is give it a shot. if you don't like it, then you don't like it. And that goes for anything. It doesn't have to be the trades, but it's there are ways to do it where it's very fulfilling. But the main the main part of having a fulfilling job is enjoying what you do, and having the capacity to learn more every day, and just really enjoy like seeking that knowledge, and like and pride in what you do. And if you can't get that doing HVAC, or try plumbing, or if you can't do that doing plumbing, try electrical. It's there's a lot of careers and jobs to be had, and at the end of the day, what tradespeople do is really cool. It's very cool.
It
So,
absolutely is,
yeah.
and really important, as I'm sure your phone lines on any really hot or really cold day would illustrate.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Robin, really, really appreciate you sitting down with me. It's been very cool to learn a little bit more about what you do. And congratulations again on just competing at such a high level. You're making Oregon proud.
Thank you. Thank you. It was good to talk.
Absolutely. Likewise. Well, hey, we appreciate you joining us for another episode of KOIN Conversations. If you want to learn a little bit more about Robin, about the work that she's doing, and when you can watch the Service Titan Elite Trades Championship live on CBS Sports, we're going to have that info for you on KOIN.com. Have a great afternoon, everybody.